Hello everybody, how's it going? My name is Leo aka Knockdef and welcome to another video tutorial. And today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make this beautiful water sphere. So yeah, so let's go over it. Many things about this water sphere. So first, a little bit of backstory. I was looking into ways of doing volumetric 3D modeled water that looks like, you know, it's a blob of water, like 3D, right? It needed to be 3D. It was for a gacha game that I'm working on. And I looked into many techniques because that's very expensive to get. And I stumbled across one technique that I think is just legendary. So full disclosure, we're not going to be teaching you guys in this tutorial how to do the particles around it. I'm mostly going to go over the technique used to achieve this effect right here, right? Which is blend shapes. So if you guys see here, this is actually just a sphere. How can I disable the selection outline? Cool. So if you guys see here, those are just blend shapes. And as I morph them around, we have different shapes here. And this technique is very powerful because first, it is 3D. So if I actually move this about, you guys are going to notice that, you know, it's different in each one of the as's. And secondly, another interesting thing is that this is very mobile friendly. We're also using this right here, which for those who are unaware, this is a matcap, which is a very common technique as well for mobile, since it's a very small texture and it's very cheap to get a lot of like fake PBR looks, you know, those are fake reflections. I'm not going to be talking too much about matcaps today because I actually have another video in mind in the future where I'm going to go over how matcaps work, but I will show you guys the shader that we use. So, you know, if you want to follow along, you can just take a look here at the shader setup and follow along and do just that. All right, so without further ado, let's do it. So here I have a higher quality video here for those who are interested. So it's a very sharp looking effect. And once again, 100% mobile friendly. All right, so let's go into Blender. Now, I'm using Blender 3.0. You don't need to. This is available in all Blender versions. All right, cool. So the first thing we're going to do here is that we're going to create 3 spheres. Okay, and they're all going to be exactly the same. So if I turn them on here, you guys are going to notice that those spheres look exactly the same. So I named them ABC. You don't need to. This is just for organization's sake, and so it looks good in the video. So essentially what we're going to be doing here is that we're going to make the regular sphere that we're going to import into our project, and it's going to have one distorted version and another distorted version. And personally, I think having 2 distorted versions is very good because then what we can do, just like I did in here, we can animate this blob. Come on, man. So we can actually animate the blob. Let me get just a blob here. And we can animate the blob so it goes like, you know, as it is in 0, then it is in here. Then as it goes to 100 in this one, it goes back to 0 in this one. So it's always doing some very complex shifts. This is the goal, at least. All right, cool. So now let's work on it. There's a little bit of techniques here because if we were to just get those vertices and try to like move them about, it would look absolutely horrendous. So what we're gonna go and do is that we're gonna go into a modifier. And you guys can see here that we have those deformation modifiers. We're going to use today the lattice modifier here. So let's click. And you guys can see that it's asking for an object and a vertex group. We can just ignore the vertex group, but we do need the object though. So let's go and let's create a new lattice. So let's create here object. And I think, no, it's actually Shift A. Oops, Shift A. And then we're going to have here a lattice. So let's create it. Cool. So now, here in our lattice modifier, you guys are going to see that the lattice modifier has this small little button that is specific to the lattice modifier. So let's scale it up a little bit so we can see it. We just want it to be just a tiny bit bigger. Yep, this looks good. All right. Nice. So we just want this to be a tiny tad bigger, and we're gonna make some divisions here. Let's see, I think the ones I used on that sphere are 4 by 4 by 4 by 4 by 4, and yep, they look pretty good. All right, so now another thing we're gonna do is that we're gonna go to our sphere and we're going to shade smooth. Oops, wait, what? Shade smooth. Come on, new keyboard, people, give me a break. All right, so now we have that going. Now that we have a lattice and a sphere, we're going to go into our sphere once again, and we're going to click on the modifiers. And here on the modifiers, wait, what? Oh, okay, I was in edit mode, sorry. So here on the sphere, we're going to go into modifiers, the modifier tab, the little wrench, and we're going to say that our object is the lattice. So now it is kind of linked in. So if we go to edit mode and we start moving our lattice, you guys are going to notice that as we move it, the sphere moves along with it. So let's go for a very blobby shape here. So let's go for something like this. You know, I'm just, of course, you should take more care into your lattice modifier. I'm just doing, you know, something very quick here. But this is a very fast manner of blobifying things, you know. Ooh, this is starting to look interesting. All right, I like this blob. I quite like this blob, actually. I just want this to have a crevice in here, so something like this. Yeah. All right, so I think it is a tiny bit, yeah, I want this to be a little bit more round. It was getting way too pointy, I guess would be the word. Let's make this bigger. Okay. I said I wasn't going to put much effort in, but damn, this is, you know, I still want to make it look good for the video. All right. I'll be honest, I didn't do this with much rhyme or reason. I just sort of dragged things in until it looked decent. And I think I succeeded. What is this? Okay, cool. All right, I think this looks good as our first blob. So now we have the first blob done. All right, let's just hide it. And now let's make our second blob. So it's going to shift from one blob to the other, remember? So once again, shade smooth. All right, so we have a nice smooth sphere. And let's add a lattice modifier. Shift A, create a new lattice. It created on the 0, 0, 0. It's fine, we can just go in here on the position and put it on 0, 0, 0. Cool. So let's get our lattice B here. Come on. Reposition it. Okay, can reposition it. So once again, we just want this to be slightly bigger than the sphere. Cool. And now the lattice settings, 4 by 4 by 4. You can use more resolution. I think 4 by 4 by 4 works fine. But if you want to really get, you know, really nitty gritty and go in there in the nooks and crannies, that's fine as well. So it's going to be the lattice 1011, 001. All right, cool. Edit mode. And once again, blobification station. So this one, I think what I want to do here, you can also scale them. I haven't been scaling, but you can scale. Is that I want to do like a tri-blob sort of deal. You know what I'm saying? Something like this, maybe. All right, this looks bad for now, but now I just, you know, shrink it, and I just thin out those little parts. You know, yep. Yeah, this is the sort of blob that I was looking for. G, okay. Now, those little blobs here, those little lattice points, we also push them in, scale them down, push those guys in. Wait, what? Here we go. All right. Once again, I'm doing a very quick and dirty job here. But I think it looks okay. All right. All right, I think we have our blobs. All right, cool. So now, let's go into the sphere A and sphere B. And we have two incredible spheres. And we're going to apply the modifiers on them. So let's go in here, and you can go Shift and Apply. You can go and Shift and Apply. Cool. So now we have those two blobs. Now we're going to take sphere C, and we're going to shade smooth. We're going to go into the world settings. Oops. We're going to go into the world settings. Very nice. And now here comes the, the trick of the trade, if you will. So we have our little blobs, right? So we want to select this sphere. We want to select the blob, sorry. Then we want to select our sphere. And we want to go into the vertices, so the object data properties. And you can see here that we have shape keys. And there's a plus and a little arrow. We're going to click on the arrow. And on the arrow, we're going to do as join as shape keys, right? Now, if you guys look in here, this is why we need to first select the blob and then the sphere. Now we have the sphere B. And you guys can see here that the sphere B has this slider. And as we push it, it turns into our mesh. Right? All right, that's very fun. And we have the basis. Okay, cool. So now we can take our other blob and we can shift click in here and we can do the same thing. Click, join as shapes. So now we have sphere A and sphere B and the basis. All right, so now we can do a little simulation here. In our game engine, we will shift this value, and then we shift this value, and then we shift this value back to 0. We can do all sorts of playthings with that. All right, fun. So now we have our sphere. Let's call this one blendshape blob. Let's call this one blendshape blob as well. Cool. So now we're going to export this. Just 1 second, because I will pause the video and export it. All right, guys, I'm back. The reason why I paused is because I have a lot of documents that I didn't want to, leak anything from any project. So, but yeah, those are the export settings that I used. So you just click export as FPX, right? Nothing special. The only thing you really got to make sure is that you have export selected applied. This way it only exports your little blend blob thing and not everything else. All right, cool. So now if we drag this over, you guys are going to see here that now we have our little blob. So what we're going to do here is that let's just drag the blob into the scene. And it's a little bit bigger than the previous blob, I think, but that's fine. That's okay. Let's delete this blob for now. All right, cool. So we have a little blob. Now, I already have the material, so for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to slap the material in here. And you guys are going to see that it's already looking pretty watery. And remember the blend shapes that we did? Here we go. Sphere A, yoink. Okay, I put them at 400. We just want 100 to be the maximum. And look at this, looking pretty sharp, right? And then sphere B, right? Very nice. Oh man, I love those things. All right, so let me go here into the inspector and hierarchy. I want to put it in the other monitor so we can have a little bit more space. So now you might be asking, all right, Leo, very fun. Let me put this blob here in the middle of our particle system. 1 second. So it looks better and better. All right, cool. We have our blob in the center of our particle system. And now you might be wondering, all right, Leo, that's very fun, that's very cool, but what next? Well, very simple, my friend. Now we're going to do a little bit of scripting. So, what we're going to do here is the following. Let me open here. Where should I put this? I think I'm going to do this, guys. I'm sorry I'm a little bit disorganized. Is that I usually don't use this project for this sort of stuff. So let's go in here, and you can see that we have our little blob. Let me get the inspector in here as well. Cool. So you can see we have our little blob. Let's unpack the prefab. Let's call this just blob. All right. So now we need a way to animate those spheres. And you might be thinking, well, Leo, let's just create an animation track. Let's call this blob tutorial. So just create an animation track and we can manipulate them through here. But if you can see here, if I press record and I mess about this, it actually does work. But there's an issue. And the issue is that if we go into the other one, it doesn't work. You see, it only works with one blend shape. So if you had only one blend shape, then it would work perfectly. But in here, as you guys can see, it only manipulates one of the blend shapes. So this is a problem. So what we need to do is to have a little bit of a scripting support. And that's where this bad boy comes in. So this code right here, you guys can use it, but I'm going to explain what's going on first, right? So skin mesh renderer, this is of course your blob. So, your blob reference. All right, cool. Now, previous blend amount is just something that we use to track if we changed the blending somehow. And the blend amount is public because it's what we're going to animate. And the key is the key index. So if you're not familiar with programming, this might seem a little bit complicated, but essentially, you see those little blend shapes here? These are a list of things, and lists in Unity starts at 0. So if we want to manipulate sphere B, it's going to be the index 0, right? And if we want to manipulate sphere A, it's going to be index 1. So this is what the index variable is. Oh, sorry, the key variable. Blend key. Yeah, it makes sense. So the blend key variable. So now on the update, meaning that every frame that passes through the game, we're going to check if the blend amount on the previous frame is the same as the desired blend amount. So think about this. Let's suppose that sphere A is at 46, right? 46, right here. So next frame, if the animation also tells the game to keep sphere A on 46, we don't want to change it to something else. We just want to do nothing, right? So this is what this code is saying. If the previous blend amount, in our case 46, is equal to the desired blend amount, meaning that they are the same thing. So if we want the sphere to be at 46 and it was at 46, we don't need to change it. We just return. So this is what return means in code. It just means fuck off. It's done. It's over. Else, meaning, if this condition is not met and if we want to keep going, then we first set the previous blend amount to the new blend amount, and then we set the blend shape key using our key index and the desired amount. So in practice, what are we going to do now? We're going to create two new, we're going to create a new empty game object, and this is going to be our blend key 1, and we want to do a blend key 2. Actually, a blend controller would be perhaps better suited for this name. And we're going to add our script, blend shape key setter. All right, very fun. So now, with those two selected, we're going to drag over the skin mesh. And one of them, it's going to be key 0. The other one is going to be key 1. All right, very nice. So now with our blob selected, and it's very important that the key controllers are parented to the blob. This is very relevant. We're going to go into our animation tab with the blob selected, and we're going to click the little record button. All right, fun. Now here on the blend amount, we're going to set it to 100 on frame 0, and at frame 60, we want to set this to 0, and on frame 120, we want to set this back to 100, meaning that this is going to go from a cycle from 100 to 0 to 100, right? So it's going to loop. That's also very important. So let's play it. Let's see what it looks like. If we screwed up anything. All right. We have a blob that goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Cool. All right, nice. Half of the battle. So now, what else are we going to do? Can you please minimize? Thank you. I don't like this new UI thing, but okay. Now we're going to click record again. Oops. Blob selected, click record. We're going to go into the blend controller 2, and we're going to say that this starts at 0. At 60 frames, 1 second in, we're going to go to 100. And at 120 frames, 2 seconds in, we're going to go back to 0, so it loops. All right, so now if we play, you're going to see that it's going to be a much more complex and smoother animation. Oh, look at that. Very cool. And if we look in here, you guys can see, look at those guys. They are changing, like crazy. But there's a problem, because this is 3D, and we can't really see the 3D-ness of our blob, which means that we need some more tweaks. So now, with the blob selected, we're going to once again click this. And what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to start rotating it. So let's save this rotation. So let's add a key on these rotations. And now at 40 frames, let's just go crazy with it. Let's just rotate it a little bit like that. Wait, what? Oh, okay, I was recording, sorry. I thought it wasn't recording, but it created it here on the top. All right, now at whatever frame, let's even rotate it even crazier. And then in the back, in the final frame, we want this thing to loop. So let's just copy the first frame and paste it over. All right, so now if we look at our rotation here, this is way too fast, but I don't care, honestly, that it's fast. All right, I think this looks better. All right, this looks very much better. Let's rotate a little bit like this. Oops. Let's rotate a little bit like this, though. All right, very fun. I think this looks good. So now we have this rotating blob. Of course, to be fair, this is rotating very fast, but, this is for tutorial purposes. Let's also make it pulse a little bit. Yeah, I think this is going to be very nice. So let's add a key. And at the end, let's add a key once again. And at 60, let's make it 120. So it's going to be 20% bigger. All right, fun. So now let's see how it looks like. It's looking awful. It's looking absolutely terrible. Because the rotation is way too fast. All right, folks, our rotation is a little bit chaotic, but the technique, honestly, you guys saw the technique in action. That should be enough, right? That should be enough, right? Please tell me that's enough. But yeah, so this is the technique. Now I think I'm only going to show you guys, wait. Are the blend shape keys working? I'm actually unsure if they are. What the hell? Is the rotation and scale screwing it over? Yeah, they're working. All right. But yeah, this is the technique, guys. This is how you make watery things. Of course, this doesn't look as good as the example that I showed before. But the reason why, it's because I also spent, you know, very little time actually working on it and improving it. And before I wave you guys goodbye, I would like to first show the shader here, and also ask you guys to subscribe, comment, and also leave a like if you guys enjoy the video, because, you know, we don't make money off this channel, me and William. You know, we plan on making a Patreon or something in the future, but right now it's a labor of love. So, you know, the more motivation, the better. So this is what the shader looks like. I'm going to zoom in. So this right here is all you need. Okay. So if I just unplug all of these things, you know, it's already working. So this is all you need for the shader. Everything else is nothing special. This is the only special part. So if you guys look here in the scene, you guys are going to notice that this is already looking, you know, proper. So this is how matcaps work. To know the math and other things behind it, I will make sure to teach you guys that in the future, in a future video. But for now, I will wave you guys goodbye. Thank you so much for watching. And also check out our game, Fight and Fall. It is out in early access right now. And we also have a lot of packages in the Unity Asset Store. All of the relevant links will be in the description below. So thank you so much for watching once again. Goodbye.